Hello my dear family, welcome to my channel introducing top rare Jefferson Nickels worth up to $200,000. Check your pocket before spending. What if an ordinary Jefferson nickel in your pocket was actually worth a fortune? In this video, we reveal 3 rare and valuable Jefferson Nickels that collectors are actively searching for right now. These coins may look ordinary, but certain dates and mint marks have become hidden treasures that many people accidentally spend every day. First up, coin number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, before you spend another old nickel, before you toss aside that forgotten 5-cent coin sitting in a drawer, listen carefully. Because hidden among ordinary pocket change is a remarkable survivor from one of the most dramatic periods in American history. A coin born during war, forged in uncertainty, and carried through generations. This is the incredible story of the 1944 P. Jefferson Nickel, a coin that collectors still search for today and a piece of history that continues to capture imaginations around the world. The year was 1944. Across the globe, World War II was raging. Nations were fighting for survival, economies were under pressure, and every available resource was precious. Metals that normally found their way into everyday products were urgently needed for military equipment. Copper was needed for ammunition. Nickel was needed for armor and wartime production. The United States government faced a challenge unlike anything it had encountered before. How could it continue producing coins while conserving critical metals for the war effort? The answer was one of the most fascinating chapters in American coin history. The United States Mint made a historic decision. Instead of producing Jefferson Nickels using their traditional metal composition, the Mint introduced a special wartime alloy. These coins contained silver, manganese, and copper. For the first and only time in history, millions of Jefferson Nickels would contain silver. This decision transformed an ordinary 5-cent coin into something extraordinary. Among those special wartime issues was the famous 1944 P. Jefferson Nickel. The letter P represented the Philadelphia Mint, and this mint mark carried historic significance. Before the war, Philadelphia coins generally did not display a mint mark, but wartime requirements changed everything. For the first time, a large mint mark appeared prominently above Monticello on the reverse side. This bold P became an unmistakable symbol of a unique era in American coinage. Imagine the day these nickels first entered circulation. Fresh from the mint, they gleamed with bright surfaces and sharp details. Workers received them in paychecks. Families spent them in local stores. Children carried them in their pockets. Yet none of those people could have imagined that decades later, collectors would carefully examine these very same coins, searching for the finest surviving examples. What makes the 1944 P. Jefferson Nickel so fascinating is not simply its design. It is the story embedded within the metal itself. Every coin represents sacrifice. Every coin reflects a nation adapting to extraordinary circumstances. While soldiers fought overseas, citizens at home contributed in countless ways. Even America's coinage changed to support the war effort. Few coins tell such a powerful story of national determination. The obverse features the distinguished portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's most influential founding fathers. His image appears calm and confident, reflecting the principles and ideals that helped shape the nation. On the reverse stands Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home. Together, these designs create a coin that celebrates both American history and American resilience. As the years passed, millions of these nickels circulated heavily. They traveled through cities, farms, factories, military bases, and small towns. They purchased newspapers, meals, train tickets, and countless everyday necessities. Every scratch, every mark, and every sign of wear became part of the coin's unique journey through history. Many wartime nickels disappeared over time. Some were lost. Others were damaged. Many simply wore out from decades of use. Yet some survived in remarkable condition, protected by collectors or forgotten in old jars and drawers. These preserved examples became treasured artifacts from one of the most important periods of the 20th century. The excitement surrounding the 1944 Jefferson Nickel comes from the possibility of discovery. Imagine opening a forgotten box in an attic. Inside are old photographs, letters, and a handful of coins untouched for decades. As sunlight hits the metal, you notice a Jefferson nickel with a large mint mark above Monticello. Suddenly, you realize you're holding a survivor from World War II itself. Collectors often describe moments like these as magical. A simple coin becomes a time machine. It connects the present with the past. Holding a 1944 nickel allows you to imagine the world in which it was created. You can picture factory workers supporting the war effort, families gathering around radios for news updates, and communities united by a common purpose. Condition plays a major role in a coin's appeal. A well-preserved 1944 nickel can showcase remarkable detail. Jefferson's portrait remains sharp. Monticello appears crisp and clear. Original luster may still dance across the surfaces. Such examples often become the centerpieces of collections because they preserve the coin's original beauty. Yet even worn examples possess tremendous historical significance. Every mark tells a story. Every scratch represents a moment in the coin's journey. Some collectors actually enjoy imagining the countless hands through which these nickels passed. They see history not as something distant and abstract, but as something tangible that can be held in the palm of a hand. As decades turned into generations, the legend of the wartime nickel continued to grow. New collectors entered the hobby, eager to learn about the extraordinary coins created during World War II. Among them, the 1944 Jefferson Nickel remained one of the most recognizable and admired issues. Its silver content, wartime connection, and historic mint mark combined to create a coin unlike any other. Today, the search continues. Hidden collections are rediscovered. Old coin albums emerge from storage. Forgotten family heirlooms reveal unexpected treasures. Somewhere, another beautiful 1944 Jefferson Nickel may still be waiting to be found, carrying its remarkable story forward into another generation. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that a simple 5-cent coin, a coin that many people would barely glance at before tossing into a drawer, could carry a story spanning generations? What if one small piece of metal could connect you to a time when America was standing on the threshold of a new era? Today, we explore the incredible journey of the 1961 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that may appear ordinary at first glance, but hides a fascinating history beneath its surface. The year was 1961. Across the United States, a spirit of optimism filled the air. New technologies were emerging, families were building brighter futures, and the nation was preparing to enter one of the most transformative decades in its history. During this period, the Denver Mint worked tirelessly to produce coins that would serve millions of Americans in their daily lives. Among those coins was the 1961 Jefferson Nickel, a humble 5-cent piece destined to become a lasting symbol of its time. Fresh from the Denver Mint, these nickels displayed crisp details and bright surfaces. The portrait of Thomas Jefferson stood proudly on the obverse, while Monticello, his famous Virginia estate, appeared on the reverse. Beneath the date rested the small but important D mint mark, identifying the coin as a product of the Denver facility. At the time, few people paid attention to such details. To them, it was simply money. Yet history often hides in the most unexpected places. Every 1961, Jefferson Nickel began a journey the moment it entered circulation. Some traveled through bustling cities. Others passed through small rural communities. They moved from cash registers to pockets, from wallets to piggy banks, becoming silent witnesses to everyday American life. Imagine a child in 1961 receiving a nickel as allowance. Perhaps that coin purchased a piece of candy, a comic book, or a cold drink on a hot summer afternoon. Imagine a worker carrying several nickels home after a long day's work. These small moments may seem ordinary, but together they form the living history carried by every surviving coin. The Jefferson nickel itself already had a rich legacy by 1961. First introduced in 1938, it replaced the Buffalo nickel and honored one of America's most influential founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson was not only a president, but also a writer, diplomat, architect, and visionary. His image on the coin symbolized knowledge, leadership, and the enduring ideals of the American Republic. Collectors are often drawn to coins because they offer something unique, a direct connection to the past. Unlike books or photographs, coins were physically present during the events they represent. The 1961 D. Jefferson Nickel circulated during a period of tremendous change, allowing modern collectors to hold a tangible piece of history in their hands. Over the decades, countless 1961 D. nickels disappeared. Some were lost, others damaged, and many simply wore out from heavy use. Yet a number survived in remarkable condition. Protected in collections, albums, and forgotten boxes, these coins preserved their original beauty and became prized additions to numismatic collections. One of the greatest thrills in coin collecting is the possibility of discovery. Imagine sorting through an old family collection and spotting a 1961 D. Jefferson nickel among the coins. At first, it may seem ordinary, but as you hold it, you begin to wonder about its journey. How many hands carried it? What places did it visit? What stories could it tell if it could speak? Every scratch and mark on a circulated coin represents a chapter in its history. Unlike modern objects, they're quickly replaced. Coins often remain in use for decades. The 1961 D. Jefferson nickel may have traveled thousands of miles and passed through hundreds of hands before eventually finding its way into a collection. Collectors carefully examine these nickels for quality and preservation. A well-preserved example can display sharp details in Jefferson's portrait and remarkable clarity on Monticello. Coins that retain their original luster often attract special attention because they provide a glimpse of how the coin appeared when it first left the mint. The early 1960s were a unique period in American history. The nation was looking toward the future with confidence and ambition. New industries were emerging, cultural changes were beginning to take shape, and the space race was capturing imaginations around the world. The 1961 D. Jefferson nickel circulated through all of it, quietly accompanying Americans during one of the most dynamic eras of the 20th century. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the 1961 D. Jefferson nickel is its ability to transform something ordinary into something meaningful. To many people, it was just 5 cents. To collectors, it is a surviving artifact from a remarkable period of history. That difference in perspective is what makes coin collecting so rewarding. Even today, people continue searching through jars of old change, inherited collections, and forgotten albums, hoping to uncover hidden treasures. While not every discovery changes a person's life, every coin offers the possibility of learning something new about the past. The 1961 D. Jefferson nickel remains a favorite because it combines historical significance, classic design, and the enduring mystery of where its journey has taken it. So before you overlook an old Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. Search for the date 1961 and the small D mint mark beneath it. Hold the coin in your hand and imagine the decades it has survived. Because within that small piece of metal lives a story of history, endurance, and the countless lives it touched along the way. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, hidden among forgotten jars of change, old coin albums, and dusty drawers across America may be a small 5-cent coin with an incredible story to tell. At first glance, it looks ordinary. It is not made of gold. It is not covered in jewels. Most people would pass right by it without a second look. Yet the 1962 Jefferson nickel, with no mint mark, carries within its metal a remarkable connection to American history, a connection that has fascinated collectors for generations. The year was 1962. America was standing at a crossroads between the traditions of the past and the promise of the future. The nation was expanding rapidly, technology was advancing, and millions of families were building new lives and growing communities across the country. During this period, the Philadelphia Mint produced vast numbers of Jefferson Nickels to meet the needs of a bustling economy. Among them was the 1962 No Mint Mark Jefferson Nickel, a coin that would quietly travel through history. Fresh from the mint, these nickels possessed brilliant surfaces and crisp details. Thomas Jefferson's portrait stood proudly on the front, while his famous home, Monticello, appeared on the reverse. Because the coin was struck in Philadelphia, it carried no mint mark. To the average American, this detail meant nothing. But decades later, collectors would recognize it as an important part of the coin's identity. Every coin begins a journey the moment it leaves the mint. Some travel only a short distance. Others cross entire states and pass through countless hands. The 1962 Jefferson Nickel moved through grocery stores, restaurants, gas stations, and local businesses. It became part of daily life during one of the most memorable decades in American history. Imagine holding one of these nickels on the day it was first released. The coin would have felt brand new, its surfaces shining brightly under the light. It might have purchased a newspaper, a candy bar, or a ride on public transportation. At that moment, no one could have imagined that decades later collectors would study these same coins with such enthusiasm. The Jefferson Nickel series itself already carried a rich legacy. Introduced in 1938, it honored Thomas Jefferson, one of America's most influential founding fathers. Jefferson's contributions to the nation extended far beyond politics. He was a writer, architect, diplomat, inventor, and visionary thinker whose ideas helped shape the future of the United States. The design of the Jefferson Nickel reflects that legacy beautifully. Jefferson's portrait conveys dignity and intelligence, while Monticello represents creativity, innovation, and perseverance. Together, they create a coin that feels timeless, connecting generations through a shared appreciation of American history. As years passed, many 1962 nickels experienced heavy circulation. Their surfaces became worn, their details softened, and their original luster faded. Millions disappeared entirely through loss, damage, or simple neglect. Yet some survived in extraordinary condition. Hidden away in collections and albums, they preserved a glimpse of the past for future generations. Collectors often describe the thrill of discovering an old coin as similar to uncovering buried treasure. The value is not always measured in money. Sometimes the greatest reward comes from the history itself. Finding a well-preserved 1962 No Mint Mark Jefferson Nickel can feel like opening a small window into another era. The early 1960s were a fascinating time in American history. Communities were growing, industries were expanding, and the nation was looking toward an exciting future. These nickels circulated during a period filled with ambition and optimism. Every surviving example carries a direct connection to those years. One of the most remarkable aspects of coin collecting is the realization that coins are witnesses to history. They travel through events large and small, silently observing the lives of ordinary people. The 1962 Jefferson Nickel may have been carried by factory workers, students, teachers, shopkeepers, or travelers. Each owner added another chapter to its story. Collectors carefully inspect every detail of a coin. They examine Jefferson's portrait, the lettering, and the image of Monticello. A coin that retains strong detail and attractive surfaces often becomes especially desirable because it allows modern collectors to see the coin much as it appeared when it first left the mint. Imagine opening an old box inherited from a family member. Inside are photographs, letters, and a handful of coins collected over many years. Among them sits a 1962 Jefferson Nickel. At first, it seems ordinary. Then you realize it has survived more than 60 years. Suddenly, that small piece of metal becomes something extraordinary. Today, the search for historic coins continues. Collectors around the world enjoy the excitement of discovery and the stories attached to each coin. The 1962 No Mint Mark Jefferson Nickel remains popular because it combines classic design, historical significance, and the mystery of where its journey has taken it. So before you overlook an old nickel, take a closer look. Search for the date 1962 and notice the absence of a mint mark. Hold it carefully and imagine the decades it has survived. Because the 1962 no mint marked Jefferson nickel is more than 5 cents. It is a survivor from a remarkable era, a witness to history, and a reminder that some of the greatest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places.